Hi there, my name is Matt Langen. I'm the CEO and founder of Stuccco, and in this video I'm going to share with you how to take photos for virtual staging. So think about 3 C's when you are photographing your rooms that you'll send us to virtually stage. The first one is to clean the room. Secondly, focus on the camera's technology. And thirdly, focus on the composition of the room that you're about to photograph. So let's break each of these down. In terms of cleaning the room, remove all items from the room that you wouldn't want to include in your virtually staged design. Typically, this is everything. Clean all surfaces, walls, windows, floors, everything. Ensure all light bulbs work and are of the same color temperature so there's no variation in the color temperature from those bulbs. Turn off all fans if that's applicable. If you're in a bathroom, put that toilet lid down. We don't need to see the contents of that. So once you've cleaned the space, then just make sure that you're using a high quality camera. Generally, this is a DSLR camera with a wide angle lens, about 18 to 22 millimeters. Don't use an extra wide angle lens though. No fisheye lens is just going to distort your photograph. It's going to make it more difficult to stage. Save photos in a high quality JPEG format. We recommend a minimum of 2,000 pixels wide. We can't make yours higher resolution after the fact, so just make sure that you're sending us photographs that are at least 2,000 pixels wide, and we'll just maintain that resolution. Don't use your camera's zoom functionality. It's just going to reduce the quality of the photo, so physically move closer to your intended focal point. And use a tripod. It's going to result in a more consistent height, and you're going to reduce the likelihood that you'll have blurred images as well because it's going to stabilize the camera. Use your camera's HDR functionality. That'll decrease the likelihood that you'll experience any sort of over or underexposed portions of your photograph. Take photos from waist level, generally speaking about half the height of the room ceiling level. So if you're photographing a room that's 8 feet tall, have that camera 4 feet up from the ground. Shoot in a horizontal landscape mode, and let's talk about composition. If the room faces east, take the photos in the morning. If west, take them in the evening. You don't want to take photos midday, it's going to be too bright. So again, for east, like just after sunrise, and for west-facing rooms, just before sunset. If the room has a pleasant view or if it needs light, we do encourage you to open and raise the blinds, or if it has curtains, pull back the curtains. But this will depend. If it doesn't have a nice view or if it doesn't need light, then you might want to actually draw these closed. Take photos from opposite corners or square on the room's focal point or from the room's entry. It's going to depend on the exact room, but just generally speaking, if you want us to photograph multiple angles of the same room, it's best if you take photos at minimum of the opposite corners. If you're photographing, let's say, a living room and you've got a beautiful fireplace or something like that, and that's its focal point, then we encourage you to just take head-on pictures of that space so that we can virtually stage it. Don't stand where the furniture goes. Enough said, right? It's hard to furnish a space when you're standing where that furniture would go. Avoid being seen in reflective surfaces like windows, mirrors, or reflective appliances like stainless steel appliances. Don't cut the fireplace off. And for kitchens, take photos slightly above the counter. If you're in a bathroom, take photos slightly above the counter but below the mirror so that you're not seen in the mirrors. For bedrooms, photograph the wall where the bed's headboard will go. We'll want to place the photograph in that spot. Make sure to take plenty of photos. You can always erase the ones that you don't need. That's the beauty of being in the digital era, right? All right, so let's look at some examples of poor candidates for virtual staging and also some ones that turned out really well. Here's a kitchen. This one's no good because of the perspective. Notice the angles aren't straight from a horizontal perspective here. And when you're taking photographs in this tilted way, it just makes the space look much smaller. Here's a bedroom. This is also poor because we're not able to see the wall where the headboard would go of the bed. Also, we're really not able to see much of the floor itself either. So you're just not going to get much bang for the buck if you were to virtually stage this photo. This is a terrible photo for virtual staging. Actually, this is just a terrible photo in general. This is of an entry, and it's just dark, dingy looking. It has under and overexposed parts in this photo. It's also just low resolution, so another poor example. This one's poor. It has better lighting, but this one's poor because we're seeing part of both a dining room and a living room instead of just seeing a head-on shot of where the dining room table would go, and then a head-on shot on where the seating in the living room would go. So that's what we would look for instead, is just 2 photos dedicated to each one of these living spaces. Also, it's kind of a lower resolution photo as well. So not a good candidate. This one here is a great candidate for virtual staging. Typically, a focal point is going to be the fireplace. In this case, actually, the focal point of this room is the entertainment area, but it's nice that we have all of the fireplace and the entertainment area in this picture. We can also see where the stairs are, so we have an understanding of traffic flow in this space, and this is made possible because the photographer used a high quality wide angle lens. And here's what this looked like once we virtually staged it, and the sellers were thrilled with the end result. This is another great example. This is a master bedroom, and it's just a good example of a photograph taken of a bedroom because we're able to see the full wall where the bed's headboard would go. And here's what we did from a virtual staging standpoint. Again, it just turned out fabulously well. And then here is a picture of a luxury condominium. This is an open concept dining room in the foreground and a living room in the background. This is challenging from a photographer's perspective because you have all of these doors and then the window on the left. Nevertheless, they did a great job controlling the light here, also capturing a lot of the floor, which will be important when virtually staging it, and we see what we did from a virtual staging standpoint. You can see now where each of these furnishings ideally would go. Just a fabulous job from a photographic standpoint. When you are photographing photos that will inevitably be virtually staged, remember the 3 C's. Clean that room, dial in that camera tech, and then focus on the composition of the room itself. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was valuable to you or to your real estate photographer. Please feel free to share this with your real estate photographer if you aren't responsible for taking the photographs yourself. I wish you nothing but the best for your virtual staging, whether we have the honor to serve you or someone else. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.